Hello and welcome to Behind the Music. I'm Kareem Bedder, and in this series I'm here to give you a composer's insight into some of the music you know and love. In today's video, as part of the ABRSM Piano Grade Edition, we'll be dancing our way to good health with a lively Tarantella, and I'll be showing you step by step how you could have written this bouncy little number all for yourself. Before we get going, if you want to hear a full playthrough, click the link in the description below. Otherwise, let's begin. Today we get to see the world through the eyes of Polish pianist, composer, educator and author Agnieszka Lasko. You finished your studies at the Łódź Music Academy in Poland, and as well as starting your own international piano competition, you've become an expert in teaching children at the early stages of playing. Your beginner's book, First Class Piano, was a big success, and now you're writing a second book to follow. A lot to live up to after the first big success. This one is going to be a collection of short and imaginative little stories. After the fun of Fiesta, you're thinking of adding another lively dance to contrast the delicate waltz about a ballerina. Something with energy. As you ask yourself what kind of dance would fit, you see a little spider lightly hopping across the keys. Wait a minute. Suddenly you remember the name of an old Italian folk dance with a little story of its own. A Tarantella. You get a glass and a coaster to move the little critter off the keys, because this can't wait. It's time to dance. So what is a Tarantella? The short answer first, it's an Italian dance. But which Tarantella do we actually mean? There are different dances of the same name, named after the city of Taranto in the Puglia region of southern Italy. Today we're not talking about the stately courtship dance, but instead the popular lively folk dance. Although it's known across Italy as a celebration, often danced at weddings and festivals, it was also long said to be a cure to the bite from the tarantula, a type of venomous wolf spider that was found in the area that now goes by the scientific name of Lycosa tarantula. Not to be confused with a different family of spiders we commonly call tarantulas in English today. While this Lycosa tarantula does have venom, it's considered to be fairly harmless to humans. But centuries ago, people associated their bites with blurry vision, fainting spells and even uncontrollable shaking. And it was believed that the only cure was the Tarantella dance. Townsfolk would gather round with the local musicians to find the right beat to cure the victim. Nowadays, it's an excuse for drummers and dancers to outpace each other, driving the music faster and faster and faster until someone has to give in. And it seems that you've been bitten by the Tarantella bug too. So now that we know the cure, better get writing one before it's too late. First, let's choose a key and a time signature. For that fiery Mediterranean feel, something a little dramatic might be nice. So let's pick a minor key for this one. To keep it simple, we'll go with D minor, since it's only got one flat. For the Tarantella dance, a 6/8 time signature is standard, or 1 under, 2 under, so that decision's already made for us. Another thing to consider is, for any dance, a nice even phrase pattern works well, as it makes it easier for the listeners and the dancers to follow what's going on. So let's go with a basic pattern of 4-bar phrases throughout. With those decisions made, let's start our tune. Something smooth and scale-based to begin with, filling out the 3 quavers of each beat. We can go up from note 1 of the scale and back down to land on note 1 again at the start of the second bar. Let's feel the sway of the dance and do a little jump up to note 5 on the second beat. And if we throw in a little staccato finish to the last note, we'll be creating even more of that bouncy, energetic feeling that we want from a Tarantella. And it also gives us a nice contrast to the smooth quavers we had before. Let's stick with that short staccato note on the beat idea and box in the D from below and from above, using notes of the harmonic minor scale. The C sharp we just had is the raised 7th from that scale. And another little skip with the D to the A from bar 2 will be a great use of repetition to round off this phrase nicely. Now let's think what chords we want. We can keep that lively staccato stab for the left hand to inject some energy at the beginning. And why not use a simple triad to start, a D minor chord, as that's the key we're in. For the second beat, we don't need anything too strong just yet, so we'll avoid chord 5. Chord 4 though could work, G minor, and it will fit really comfortably under the hand if we use the second inversion. So that's basically with the note D in the bottom of the chord instead of the top. Before coming back to D minor. Sounds effective, and it's easier to play. For the last 2 bars of the line, we know we end with a D and an A, so a return to our home chord, D minor, makes the most sense. The C sharp and E are screaming out chord 5, that would be A major, to lead us strongly back to D with a perfect cadence. If you don't know, that's basically a 5-1 chord progression. Nice. Now let's make that cadence even stronger with the 7th above A to make an A7 chord. Okay, now we've already got the C sharp and the E, the 3rd and the 5th from the chord. So we can make life easy by not repeating those notes in the left hand and just use the ones we've missed out. Note 1 and 7, A and G. There we go, and a jump down to a low A before we come back up to the D rounds it off nicely. That's a strong start, and this 4-bar phrase sounds like a question that needs an answer. As it's short, let's make that answering phrase by repeating what we already have, only with a more definite ending, by staying on the D at the end of the last bar, instead of skipping up to the A this time. Perfect. Now, since that's quite a short first section, we can repeat it. And that makes the first 16-bar section. Feeling better already? Best keep dancing, just in case that venom starts taking over again. The next section will sound good if we take some of the ideas from what we've already written and develop them to give a different and contrasting feel to the music, in a way that still feels cohesive and related to the original material. And since we're so strongly tied to D minor so far, we can create some of that contrast by moving briefly through another key. Let's see if we can find a way to move through the tonic major, D major, to really change up the D minor feel. To do that, let's start with chord 5, A major. A big arpeggio will do the trick, using that rhythm from the first bar. And we can use the top A to reintroduce some of those bouncy on-the-beat staccatos. We can then use the shape of bars 3 and 4 to continue, but this time around we'll have the chords D minor and A. That's the opposite of what we had before, to set up the next 4-bar phrase in D major. And to lead into that, let's use opposing semitone motion to lead neatly into the D and the A of the D minor bar. Nice, now we're heading for D major. Let's take this 4-bar phrase we've just written and move the whole thing up a 4th to start on D major. Move through a bar of G minor, and then end on D. Should we use a D major or a D minor chord here? That's a question we'll come back to in a moment, but first let's see where we want to take it next. This middle section has been an interesting diversion, but it feels like it might be time to pull it back around to bring us to D minor again. How can we reintroduce it? If we were to jump straight from a D major chord into a D minor section, it could sound a bit jarring. Yeah, so let's be sneaky.
Sneak in! Sneak in!
And we'll miss out the 3rd, the F sharp, from the D chord in bar 16. So it's neither D major nor D minor, it's just an open 5th, also known as a D5 or a D power chord to any guitarists out there.
Where have you been? Sneak in!
Now it suggests D major, since that's what we'd expect after what we just had before. But it doesn't make an obvious clash when we hear the minor afterwards, as it wasn't just there in our ears, only the feel of it in our minds. This is high-level Jedi mind trick stuff. Or is it more mind-controlling spiders?
Stay put, don't touch any buttons, and ignore all random thoughts that feel spidery. I don't even want to hear it, Summer.
Since we'll want to make the move back to D minor very clear to end the section, we can do that by emphasising chord 5 first to make it really strong. In that case, what about a whole section with a bass drone, racking up the tension and building our expectation of D minor before we actually get there? A repeated A in the bass, that's note 5 above the D we're heading back to, will do the trick just fine. Now we can make a little right-hand figure that takes ideas from the original theme in the first 2 bars, using a similar scalic movement and similar little jumps to move down the scale of D minor. Since we want that seamless transition to take us from D major to D minor though, it might be a nice idea not to introduce all the different notes at once. Let's take a look at the notes D major and D minor don't share. D major has D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, before we come back to D. D natural minor has D, E, F natural, G, A, B flat, C natural, before we come back to D. Although B natural and C sharp are present in other forms of the minor scale too. Most notably that's C sharp in D harmonic minor and melodic minor, and the B natural just in the melodic minor. Using notes from the natural minor scale though, a little auxiliary melodic pattern can be introduced as part of a descending sequence to introduce the B flat in bar 17. And then the F and C in bar 19. This all to help us feel like we're firmly in D minor again. That was smooth. Let's end the drone then, and we'll break that sequence in the first of the final 4 bars of this section by including C sharp. There we go, that raised 7th from the different forms of the D minor scale to really hit home the chord 5 and signal that we're heading back to D minor very soon. By this point, the drone, it's served its purpose, and now we can end the phrase with a melody in the left hand. And outlining a chord of A major with some little bouncy staccatos at the end to mark the end of the section. Right, let's get back to basics. After that middle section that's diverted us through some different places, now seems like the perfect time to come back to the original theme, to shake off any spiders that started crawling up your leg while you weren't looking. Ants in your pants doesn't sound so bad now, does it?
Ants in the pants. Ants in the pit. Ants in the pants.
Let's use the whole 16 bar section. Again, that was 8 bars repeated from earlier, once more, exactly as we had it the first time. Now, we could leave it there, and it would make musical sense, but it feels a little abrupt to just stop there after we did so much to build up all that tension and excitement in the middle section. So let's add a coda, fancy word for an ending. This doesn't need to be a whole 16 bars again, because we just want enough to tie a bow and wrap it up nicely. 8 bars will do just fine. Keep it up, your dancing shoes can hold out just a while longer. We don't want to introduce any new ideas at this point, as we're looking to finish up our dance soon. So why not turn the original idea on its head to get a bit more mileage out of it? The bass can take over the melody, and the right hand can take the chords in a higher octave. To make it feel like we've got a little more movement and we're picking up pace towards the end, we can condense the original idea into 2 bars by getting rid of that jump from bar 2 and just using that scalic motif to give us 2 short 2-bar phrases in the space of one of our original 4-bar phrases. For this, we'll condense the harmony too by just having D minor, A7, D minor, missing out that bit with the G minor and the other D minor. Looks like we left the village baker behind. He's in a heap on the floor. Oh well, we'll see if he can rise again later. Because we're not quite finished yet. Those last 2 bars sound brilliant, so let's just repeat the same thing an octave higher and a little quieter as an echo for that second short 2-bar phrase. And since that works so well, let's keep that energy going, but bring that volume down even lower, like the dancers are dancing away into thin air. Or the last of the spiders is running away into the fields just outside of town. We'll put it up yet another octave for a mysterious light scuttling sound. And let's extend the new 2-bar idea back to a full 4-bar phrase to help mark the ending a little more clearly. We'll repeat the first bar, And then let's use the staccato idea we had to end the first phrase of the entire piece, using the same chords that we just used a moment ago. D minor, A7, D minor. As we're going for a light ending, we can maybe miss out the fifth from the final two chords. Just think of the first and the fifth, note 1 and note 5, being the main structural foundation of the chords. The main colour of the sound coming from notes 3 and 7, if there is one. A nice little opposing motion from C sharp to D and from G to F at the top. Against the 5-1 perfect cadence bass line from A to D at the bottom will end things with style. And with that little skip and jump, I think you're looking right as rain. Now, I think this Tarantella is definitely good enough as the antidote to the spider's venom, even if it did half kill the rest of the town dancing along with you. And there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Behind the Music. If you did, and you'd like to see more like this, then please leave a like, share with a friend, comment down below. And if you want to make sure you don't miss any future videos, why not hit that subscribe button and bell icon to make sure you're notified whenever I post a new one. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, don't just have a good one, make it a masterpiece. See you in the next video.